So hi guys, welcome back to a new Photoshop tutorial. My name is Manny, and in today's post I'm going to show you a little bit of a creative retouch again. Not too much of an advanced Photoshop tutorial, more beginner to intermediate again, going to work with certain plugins and some techniques again. Then also I do want to give away a complete beauty retouching course. This will be in an online form, so no DVD will be sent to you, but obviously there's a DVD for this course. You will get a complete beauty retouching course plus BSD and RAW files so you can practice on your own. How to win this is very easy. Tell me why you want to win a beauty retouching course. You can either post your comment down here below on YouTube or on my Facebook page, and I will select the best comment. Alright, that's it. Let's get started with our tutorial. Okay, so I'm currently in Bridge, and the first thing that I'm going to do here in my content area from Bridge, I'm double clicking now onto my raw image, and this is basically my image. It's going to be imported now into Camera Raw, and in Camera Raw I'm going to start again with my first adjustments. So as I can see already, I've already adjusted this image. Let's set it quickly back to our custom or standard settings here. So I'm going to go on the right hand side and just say so I'm going to say Camera Raw default, and that will be set all back to 0. Okay, so as you guys can see, this girl here in the desert area, somewhere desert landscape, I want to give her a little bit of a edgy, very brownish touch to it, and also a little bit desaturated look. But before we start with that, first of all, what I'm going to do now in Camera Raw is just sharpen this image up a little bit more. So I'm going to take my amount up to 70%. Like I usually do, and my radius to 0.5 to just get a really sharp, edgy look already. Okay, back to my basic adjustments here. And first of all, what I'm going to do is take my exposure down just a little bit. So we're just darkening the image a little bit, say to 0.15. Okay, contrast, I'm going to leave it to that. Then I'm going to take my highlight sliders up a little bit, maybe to plus 18, just to give her a little bit more of a punch in her face. Then also I'm going to have a look at the shadows. I'm going to take the shadows a little bit down just to darken this a little bit and give it a bit more contrast. Let's take it down a little bit more. Okay, that's getting too intense now. So let's just take it down to -11. That should be fine. And let's also have a look at the black slider here. Also going to darken that a little bit more just to get a little bit more dark and, you know, more black in here. Okay, let's take that to -8. That looks about good. And due to all of that, the saturation went up a little bit. So I actually want to take the saturation as well and just turn the saturation down a little bit. So say to -10, -11, that should be fairly good as well. Okay, so that's pretty much the way I wanted to have my image to look. Also my temperature, I'm happy with actually the temperature at the moment, because I'm most probably with a plugin now going to change this a little bit again. Okay, so that's my first stage now. Next stage, I'm going to go and open the object, take that directly into Photoshop. Okay, so in Photoshop, I'm going to press F now to have a full screen view of this complete image, and also move this a little bit into the center. Let's press Z and also zoom out a little bit over here, okay? And now on our layers panel down here, I still have this weird number, so I'm going to just rename this to original. There we go. And also I'm going to rasterize this layer now, so I'm going to press right click and just rasterize, no smart object at the moment. Okay, so before I even start, first of all, what I want to do is just crop this complete image. So I'm going to go over to my crop tool here and just take this a little bit down here and also a little bit up, and have a little bit of a look. So I want to create a little bit of a cinema look and also a bit of a cropped look in here. So that will be most probably be my frame. And accept that now, and also move this a little bit into the center again. Press V, get out of the crop tool, and this is my image now. Okay, so first step that I'm going to do now is just quickly go a little bit closer into her face over here and just retouch a little bit of that spot out. I don't want to clean up all the face. I do really like the dirt and everything, that it looks a little bit like really rough. So I'm going to leave that on. Okay, I'm going to go over here to my healing brush tool. Let's just select the healing brush tool over here. Healing brush tool, and I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. Also sample with Alt again, very close by, and just going to sample a little bit over here, that big dot. Maybe over the nose a little bit. Okay, and there are no rings under the eyes. That all looks good. She could have actually have more dirt that we're going to add in a little bit. Okay, the rest looks actually pretty fine to me. I just wanted to get rid of that one big dot. So that's all in terms of cleaning up and retouching that I'm going to do on the person today. Let's go in now and create a little bit more grunginess first, and also a little bit more of that very sharp edgy look. So I'm going to take the original layer, I'm not going to make a duplicate of that, go back to filter, and I'm going to go to NYX software, Color FX Pro 4, and in there we're going to add now a little bit, let's just make this a little bit bigger here. Okay, I'm going to go all the way down and find tonal contrast, and we're going to select tonal contrast, and that will already give us a little bit of a more edgier look. As you guys can see, it also looks a bit more dirtier. So let's also make maybe a comparison from before and after, or a complete new comparison where we have our before and after. So as you guys can see, also it's way more saturated, and also I do like the highlights. I'm not so much the fan of the blues in the background. So let's play a little bit with everything in tonal contrast. I'm going to take the highlight sliders up a little bit, and just see that's looking very good at 50. Let's also just go back here to our full screen mode so we don't have our before and after. Okay, let's take the mid-tone slider all the way down. Wait, that will give us, that will not create too much detail. As you guys can see, before we had way more details in the clouds. So let's take this up a little bit more again. 30 to minus 40%, and then also the saturation down a little bit. Okay, that's a little bit too high. Obviously the plugin is working and then rendering, so I have to wait a little bit. So -9 is still a bit less, maybe 0. 0 is actually fine enough for me. Then we're on the same adjustments that we did with Camera Raw. So I'm going to leave it to 0 down here at our saturation, and with shadows and highlights, not going to tweak that anymore. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK now, and that will be adjusted and obviously applied to our new layer over here. Okay, so now we have a little bit more of a contrasty or a little bit more edgier image. As you guys can see, this is before and after, before and after. Let's also zoom in a little bit closer here, maybe on the pants, and also have a look how edgy that will give us, or what that effect will do. So over here, that's the before and after, before and after. We do have a little bit of more detail on here. Okay, but I don't want to apply this detail everywhere, maybe just on her. So what I'm going to do with this tonal contrast layer here, I'm going to create a mask, select the mask down here, and hold Alt as well, so we create a hidden black mask. Okay, now I'm going to go over to my brush again, select the brush, and at 100% opacity up here with a white foreground color, swap the foreground colors over here and make my brush a little bit bigger. So I'm working with the Continuous 4 board, and I can actually, with my board and the wheel, make my brush a little bit bigger. If you don't have that, please go here to the top and change it here. Okay, on my hidden layer now, or hidden mask here, I'm just going to brush in a little bit of that face again, a little bit of the details here. Okay, and a little bit of the pants. Okay, and we're going to make this also nice and paint this in. We're going to paint in this panga or sword, whatever you want to name this. A little bit of her arm. Okay, a little bit more. Okay, so as you guys can already see down here, we already have the panga and her nicely brushed out. Now what I'm going to do is take the opacity all the way down to say 30%, and also do the same on the background, because I also do want to apply this a little bit here onto the grass and a little bit onto the clouds in the background. Okay, a little bit more, and also in here, and that's about it. So as you guys can see also down here now on our mask, we have everything that's pure white. It means that at 100% opacity this was brushed out, and now obviously the rest was just with a 30%. Okay, happy with that. Now what I'm going to do is again press Command, Alt, Shift and I, so we create a complete new layer, and in this layer I'm going to take this one now back into filter, and we're going to go to Alien Skin Exposure 4 plugin. I also did a tutorial about that a while ago. So going into that plugin, and in here I do have a really nice effect that I want to apply, which already jumps up. So let's maybe just go a few steps back. So under your settings here on the left hand side, under your filter presets, you can go to Cinema, open Cinema, and under Cinema we also have Bleach Bypass and etc, a few more presets over here on the left hand side. I have chosen to go with the Jaws because this looks quite nice on the whole image and gives it a really nice effect. Okay, let's also go over here to the right hand side, and under color we're going to first of all work a little bit with the overall density. I don't want to apply this all the way at 100%, so maybe just at 80%, and we're going to have a look how strong that is. Okay, and I'm still happy actually with the warm glow with the yellows and how desaturated the whole background looks. So I love actually that yellowish mood, kind of reminds me of a Vietnam look. So I'm most probably going to go exactly with this look, not going to play any more with any of these sliders, but if you want to play more with this, try out some presets and also a few more of these sliders. I'm going to hit OK now and take this new layer right into Photoshop, as you guys can see over here, and we already have a complete new color mood to this. I know, yes, you can also work a lot with under adjustments with selective color casts or with other colors, but I really love working with this plugin. It saves so much of my time and I get straight to the effect that I want. Okay, let's also continue now. Obviously, as you guys can see here, opacity is still 81% because we have overtaken that directly from the plugin. What I still want to do is go back here under adjustments and create a hue and saturation adjustment layer. Go back under masters into my yellows, and just the yellows, take them down just a little bit so it's not too intense. Okay, pretty happy with that. So just adjusted that a little bit so it's not that saturated, so I can desaturate it a little bit, but just in my yellows. So over here, as you guys can see now, looks a little bit better. So next step that I'm going to do is first of all just create another group. So I'm going to take exposure and hue and saturation, just put that together in a group with Command G, Control G for the Windows users. Then I'm going to write here my look. Okay, and also going to take my other 3 layers, put that again with Command G, Windows users, Control G, into a new group, and just write here start. Okay, so back to the look folder over here, and next step that I'm going to do is create a dodge burning layer and also work a little bit on that. So create a new layer, press Command A to select everything with your selection, or Control A for the Windows users. Go back to your marking tool, right click into your image and say fill this complete section with also a 50% gray over here under your contents. Say OK, and now we have a complete new layer. I'm just going to double tap on here and say dodge and burn. Okay, press Command D, Control D for the Windows users, so we are out of the selection. Then I'm going to go back to my blending options over here, switch it all the way to soft light. I do want to have it a little bit softer. You can also use overlay for a little bit harder. Okay, on the dodge and burn layer, next step that I want to do is take my brush again, and also with my brush now press Control Alt and make my brush first of all very small. I'm also going to work again with my Vacuum Continuous 4 board with my wheel, so I can really change it quickly, my brush size, otherwise go here back to the top. Very important stage now is go to the opacity here and just put it down to 7%. You don't want to work with a harder brush than 7%. Okay, 7%, and also black for burning and white for dodging. So swap around now for dodging first, and I'm going to press Z, zoom in a little bit closer here onto the image with the hand, just go up a little bit up. Okay, so I'm white on this layer directly with the brush. Now press B again for the brush. I'm just going to go in here and just push the highlights a little bit more. So over here, dodging a little bit in her face, also under her eyes, a little bit over here, brightening that a little bit. Make my brush a little bit bigger, so under here. So with dodging, I don't want to do too much, just a little bit, make my brush really big. So with a nice soft feathered brush over here, on her arm, a little bit here on her leg. And now I want to go in all these small wrinkles over here and just make them a little bit more stronger. So 1 or 2 stripes more again. Okay, also over here. So I'm going to do this a little bit roughly now. Go a little bit more down. Okay, also on here. Going over to this side. And up a little bit, and also on the arm a little bit. Okay, and that's basically it. Maybe also here on the hair just a little bit. So it just stands out a little bit, pops a little bit more on the mask. Okay, so that's basically it. Now I'm going to change with X to black and now I'm going to burn a little bit. Now for me, burning is very important. I'm going to do this on all her hairs and also on all the small areas where I think there still needs to be a little bit more shadow or just a more contrast. So over here also on the nose and also on the nose side, a little bit on the cheek, her hair a little bit, maybe over here on the hair a little bit. Okay, that was too much. Press Command Z or in your history panel go back. A little bit over here. Okay, let's go down a little bit. And now let's make this a little bit more dirtier. So what I'm going to do is just over here very roughly going to just darken these areas a little bit. Okay, and a little bit on her arm as well, just to get a little bit of a stronger contrasty look in here. Going to change my brush a little bit smaller. Okay, and just overdo it a little bit stronger now. Okay, onto the sword or this panga, whatever you want to name it. Okay, let's also go in here. And I don't want to do too much here on the sword. Maybe make my brush a little bit bigger, and with one stripe over here we can always have a look before and after. Okay, let's go back to the pants, and also on the pants, really strong now on the pants. All the small areas, going to cover that, the shadow areas as well again. Okay, and especially these small areas in here, you want to definitely cover those. And also over here again, these wrinkles, you do want to just cover the shadows of the wrinkles. Okay, a little bit more in here. And we're just going to do this for a few minutes. It obviously takes a little bit of practice, but once you got the hang of it, you're going to get really good at this. Okay, so zoom out a little bit again. And a little bit more, and I obviously just work now on the person. You're welcome to also do this on your background. I sometimes do it, sometimes not. Okay, so this is my dodge and burn layer again. Turn it off and on, off and on, off and on. So it makes a little bit of a difference and your whole subject just stands out a little bit. Okay, next step again, Command Alt Shift and I, and we have a new master shortcut over here, so a new complete layer. Next step that I'm going to do is go back into filter again, back to Nik Software, Color FX Pro 4 again, and we're going to create a little bit of a vignetting effect onto our image. Okay, so let's take this all the way down, and we're going to find vignetting somewhere around here. There we go, vignetting. So let's select that. Okay, and we still have to fine tune our vignetting. That looks very bad for me. So first of all, under my shapes, I'm going to choose shape 2, yes. Adapt the edges. Yes, I'm going to tweak my edges a little bit, say up to, so it gets a really soft edge in here. So maybe up to 50% or 53%, that's fine to me. Transition, I'm going to also tune that a little bit. So take transition all the way up to 100%, so it's really soft edge in here. Okay, then my size all the way down. I don't want to have this big size, maybe just at a 3%, that's fine. And also now very important, opacity all the way down to say maybe just 22%. And that's quite good enough. Okay, so I'm going to say OK here and overtake that into Photoshop as well. Okay, so now our complete image darkened a little bit. As you guys can see, here is again our before, and with vignetting our after. But I'm not too happy actually to apply the vignetting overall. As you guys can obviously see, the sun is coming here from the left hand side. So I do want to keep this a little bit brighter, and obviously also keep her a little bit brighter. Okay, so let's do that. We're going to create a mask now down here. Select the mask icon again. Select your brush. Also change your opacity back to say 80%, or maybe use it at 100%. Okay, and with a black foreground color now, switch over here to black foreground color. I'm going to take the brush, make my brush also really big again. And it's obviously still soft, so my edge is still feathered. And now I can just brush away the vignetting effect a little bit over here, because I don't want to apply this vignetting effect obviously on the left hand side like I said. So as you guys can see here on the mask already, it changed a little bit. So I'm going to change my opacity now down to 77%, and also in here brush a little bit on her face again, a little bit on her, and a little bit again here, big vignetting in here if that's your actual shot. Okay, turn that off and on, have a look, your before and after, before and after. Okay, I'm going to take the opacity still down to 80% of this image. Okay, and that looks a little bit better. Last step, we're going to go and do another adjustment layer with levels. and we're just going to play a little bit with our levels in here. So I'm going to brighten the mid-tone sliders a little bit, darken it a little bit more, create a little bit more contrast. Also push my white highlight sliders a little bit and take the blacks down. Okay, that's getting too contrasty, so I'm going to leave it at that. Go back to adjustments here, and I'm also going to go back to hue and saturation. And now in my masters, also going to desaturate this image just a little bit again. Okay, so now it's getting too desaturated for me. Maybe we can also try have a look in the yellows again. So under masters, go back to yellow, turn down the yellows to -5%, and that looks fine to me. Okay, let's also take now our complete group here again, or the new layers that we just created. Dodge and burn, we can leave that on our own. Press Command J or Control J, and in here I'm just going to also write the color cast. Okay, that's my color cast, and also dodge and burn, create a new group with that, just with Command G again or Control G, and write D and B. So that's for my dodge and burning technique. Okay, last final step, Command Alt Shift E, again a master shortcut. Sorry for that, but that is normally the way I work with these files. I know they get a little bit bigger, but that's fine for me at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to work now with my last layer. I'm just going to write here final, and I'm going to take this once again into filter, again Nix Software Color FX Pro 4, and I just want to give this a last little touch with another preset here called ink. So let's go all the way down to find ink over here, select that, and we get a really blue touch to all our shadows. I don't want to apply this at a strength of say 80%, but maybe a little bit more. And as you guys can already see, it looks more saturated, but it's kind of suits the whole image, so it's not too oversaturated. Okay, let's take the strength a little bit more down to say just 5%. Also, we can now still tweak our shadows. If it's too contrasty for you, you can still tweak the shadows a little bit. I'm actually going to take the shadows to say 19%, maybe a little bit less. So around 25%. And my highlights, I'm really happy actually with the highlights. Let's just give it a try. So the background de-highlights a little bit. If we're going to boost this up again, so this just adds more highlights to our image. So let's go take it just to minus or 21%, and that's around okay. So I'm going to say okay, and hopefully this image will pop a little bit more now, which it actually should. So there you, as you guys can see now already, this pops again a little bit more than before. So over here, that's now before and after, before and after. So this last touch just adds another pop to your image and looks really, really nice. Okay, yeah, so that's basically it. Showing you guys quickly again my before and after over here. So let's turn all of that off. That's our before and after, before and after. So just a little bit more of a creative, you know, retouch, more of a Vietnam or army look, and also getting that really yellowish warm touch into your image. Let's also zoom in really closely to see how good our sharpness looks. So that's our after and before and after, before and after. Pretty happy with it so far. If you do want to add a little bit more sharpness to it, you can obviously do again a little bit of a sharpening filter, or go into also a filter called Topaz Labs and sharpen it a little bit again with Topaz Labs on a single layer. So that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you guys learned something from these few techniques and also from this creative retouching. Then also don't forget to give me a like for the video if you liked it. Leave a comment down below to win this complete beauty retouching training, and don't forget to subscribe. See you guys all next week. Bye bye.